Hello Chinese viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. So at Channel NITT, we are moving into a season 5 where I will be producing much more videos which are going to be searchable. So instead of producing videos such as is the ENTJ arrogant, I am going to produce more videos such as careers for the ENTJ. So also at season 5, I will be expanding the scope of discussion to all 8 cognitive functions which we have not done before. So if you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more MBTI and fun stuff. So to kickstart our season 5, we're going to talk about ENTJ, study subjects and career. So personally, I've done some research on ENTJ careers. So one of the websites show this. For one thing, I know that ENTJs can be good in whatever they want to do, but this list is way too long. Might as well just write everything, right? And according to the website, these are careers that the ENTJ doesn't like. And for God's sake, this is what the typical Singaporean doesn't like either. What value are you adding? Anyway, in my life, I have actually gone through a lot of career stages. I was once a teacher, lecturer, author. I do so many different things. So I have actually this thing to say. It does not matter for an ENTJ what career path you go down. What is more important is what you actually get to study. So what are subjects that an ENTJ should study at the undergraduate level? Because the INTJ also uses NITT, although in a flip order, this episode probably also will apply to INTJs as well. So what I am going to disclose in this episode will be my personal picks. I'm going to shortlist. So instead of giving you a very long, ridiculous list, which doesn't really make any sense, I am going to do some personal picks based on subjects that we may all be more familiar with. But of course, whether you do well in any particular subject has got a lot of factors involved, particularly your age, your intelligence, your interests. So in one of our previous episodes, we talked about Max Zeng. He is probably very intrigued, fascinated by geography, right? In general, if you are very interested in something, you will dwell deep into it. Now, personally, as an ENTJ, I have never been able to do well in geography. And why that is the case, I will explain later. So when you are interested, naturally, you'll be motivated. Of course, if you have a talent for something, you will also do well in it. So if we put all these factors aside, everything ceteris paribus, what should an ENTJ or an INTJ study? In order to answer this question, you have to look at your 2 major functions, TE and NI. TE is the ability to see things from many different perspectives. NI, on the other hand, is designed to look for consistent patterns. So together, TE and NI, regardless of whether you are an INTJ or ENTJ, prefers to study subjects that are very conceptually easy to understand. So INTJs and ENTJs, naturally the TE and NI combination is very powerful. When you are interested in a particular subject and you read it once, you probably already know what it is about. So I have a very strange habit as an ENTJ. When I am interested in a drama serial, I tend not to watch the drama serial, I will watch the last episode. Because after watching the last episode, I will get to know the entire story. So similarly, INTJs and ENTJs, you have this gift of like just looking at the content and straight away you have a good grasp of what is really happening in this particular subject. This is really efficiency at work. You don't have to spend a lot of time trying to study. But of course, if you are motivated and if you have the talent for it, then all the more better. So in general for INTJs and ENTJs, as long as the subject allows you to understand it in a very simple and conceptual way, you should be able to do well in it. So it really varies from individuals to individuals. For me, I don't really like geography. So just now I mentioned that I don't do very well in geography because conceptually I'm unable to grasp it. So in Singapore at Secondary 1, we were introduced to geography as a new subject. The first few topics that I actually encountered include plate tectonics. So it's very difficult for me to imagine how the plates move and then thereby forming volcanoes or causing earthquakes as a result. So roughly I know what it is. Like, okay, they just slide past each other and then because of some friction or whatever, there is an earthquake. However, if I have to pen it down in words to explain the phenomenon, I'm really very bad at it. So I probably think that a lot of INTJs and ENTJs may have this issue. If you don't really know what it is, you roughly know what it is, and when you write it down, it's not coherent, it's not fluent, then you won't do well in it. So I have a list of subjects over here that I think the ENTJ or the INTJ may not do so well in. That includes law, medicine, economics, business, history, geography, art and technical studies. But of course, remember this is ceteris paribus, all your interests and motivation aside. Why did I choose this bundle? Because conceptually, I think the ENTJ may not be able to grab certain concepts. Sometimes they may be too factual. And when things get too factual, it may be very hard for the INTJ or the ENTJ to do well in it. So just to give you an example, I really like biology. I could understand the circulatory system, the transport system fairly well because it is a concept on its own. Until the point whereby I started to learn bacteria, I totally flopped in biology. Why? Because it's very difficult to conceptually understand bacteria. Similarly, I like chemistry up to the point where I had to do organic chemistry because when we start to learn about esters, wow. So at the primary or the introductory level, like periodic table and all things, they are conceptually organized in a way whereby it is easy for us to understand. However, when we go too deep into organic chemistry, for example, it becomes like, what? Why are we studying this? It's like, what's the relevance? It's like, okay, gross. So there comes a point. I think ENTJs and INTJs probably can study anything at the introductory level, but to go deep into these subjects that I've mentioned, I think it would be harder for the average ordinary INTJ or ENTJ. Also, I think INTJs and ENTJs may find it hard to learn a new language unless they have a flair for it. So especially for the ENTJ, which happens to be SI blind, they might find it hard to understand syntax, which is very common in languages. So what are subjects that ENTJs and INTJs may do well in? So I have shortlisted literature, acting, psychology, science, maths, engineering, and philosophy. This is actually a very narrow bundle. Why this narrow bundle? I think that ENTJs, INTJs should be able to do well enough for these subjects. In the previous bundle, subjects that the ENTJ and INTJ may not really do well in, you can actually do well in it because you are motivated or you have an interest for it. So that does not mean that you have to avoid those subjects. It's just that you will do better in these subjects. Why? Because these are conceptually easier to understand. So for example, literature may be easy to understand because you follow a particular story. And then from this story, you can think from the perspectives of all the different characters inside, what they may be feeling, what they may be thinking in their mind because of TE and NI in combination. And of course, INTJ and potentially ENTJ can also be very good critics at literary works. Why? Because TE and NI as a combination allows you to see from different perspectives and then you draw parallel between different literary works. At the same time, it's efficient. So anything that allows you to draw parallels is something that you will be good in. But of course, let's say history, I have mentioned, is a subject that you might not do well, but using NI and TE, you can draw parallels between like World War I or World War II or two independent historical events. That could also work. It's just that factually, to memorize facts is not really an ENTJ thing. So let's say for science, we have the rainbow consists of 7 different colors, and then you know an abbreviation that can help you to memorize that. But imagine the entire subject is all about this. That would really be a pain in the ass. Of course, I don't really know whether in law you have to study or memorize all the different constitutions or what. But if that is the case, then ENTJ may not do so well in it. Okay, I hope that this episode has given you some insight into what an ENTJ and an INTJ could better study to maximize their cognitive functions. So your cognitive stacks are always there. Play your cards well to get ahead in life faster. Okay, as promised, in our upcoming episodes, we're going to talk more about the 8 cognitive functions in totality, so do watch out for it. Okay, hope you have enjoyed this episode. I'm going to sign off now and I'll see you in our next episode. Bye bye.